Luke Harper may not strike you as an exceptionally good wrestler, but trust me when I say he's so much more than just Bray Wyatt's muscle. Harper is extremely quick and agile for a man of his size, and he's honed his wrestling skills around the world over many years. Due to multiple requests, this is Wrestling Origins Luke Harper. John Huber was born on December 16, 1979 in Rochester, New York. For some reason, there is no information that I can find about his upbringing or even schooling. I don't know if it's because he's just a private person or maybe he just appeared out of thin air in the late 90s, but there really isn't anything to talk about here besides this beautiful yearbook picture. Oh, and he worked as a librarian somewhere along the line as well. A 6'5", 250 plus pound librarian. Huber first got into professional wrestling by competing as a backyard wrestler. He worked with his brother and went under the name of Huber Boy 2. Very creative. He would begin properly training around 2001 under Kirby Marcos and Rick Matrix in New York. He made his debut for Rock City Wrestling in late 2002, and by 2003 he began working as Brody Lee for Rochester Pro Wrestling. Brody Lee would work in multiple smaller independent promotions over the years where he won heavyweight championships and tag team titles. I'm going to cover mainly the bigger independent promotions, but I'll just list off some of the smaller ones now. Keystone Championship Wrestling, Upstate Pro Wrestling, Far North Wrestling, and Squared Circle Wrestling to name a few, as well as a couple matches in the more popular Combat Zone Wrestling, or CZW. Let's start with Chikara, where Huber debuted as Brody Lee in 2007. He wasn't originally supposed to wrestle that night as he was just visiting some friends backstage, but after another wrestler didn't show up, Lee was given the opportunity to get in the ring. Lee would lose that night and eventually return 2 months later where he defeated Equinox in a rematch. Lee would continue working in Chikara, and in April 2008 he would notably be challenged by Claudio Castagnoli, where the two exchanged wins. However, Claudio would come out on top in Chikara's first ever steel cage match. In late 2008, Brody would form a stable called the Roughnecks with Eddie Kingston and Grizzly Redwood. It's worth noting that Brody had a trucker gimmick at this time with the nickname Big Rig. The stable would soon become a tag team though, as Kingston moved into a singles feud with Claudio. As a tag team, Lee and Redwood would have some success. They would rack up some wins and eventually got a shot at the tag team titles, but they were unable to capture the belts, which led to Lee turning on his partner. Brody would continue working occasionally in Chikara until 2012, but wouldn't really make too much of an impact. Jumping back to 2008, Brody Lee would have a brief stint in Ring of Honor where he aligned with the Age of the Fall to help Jimmy Jacobs defeat Austin Aries. He continued helping the stable, aiding Delirious in his matches as well. Lee would feud with Necro Butcher briefly, but he would lose. Also, Delirious would turn on the stable and defeat Brody in his final ROH match. In 2009, Lee would debut for Jersey All Pro Wrestling as part of the Hillbilly Wrecking Crew with Necro Butcher and Trevor Murdoch. Lee and Necro would work as a tag team to win the JAPW Tag Team Championships and would hold them for nearly 6 months. From there, he moved to singles competition. He was unable to capture the JAPW Heavyweight Championship from Dan Maff, but he would win the JAPW New Jersey State Championship. However, he would later on win the Heavyweight Championship and unify the two belts. At the end of 2011 though, Lee was stripped of his belt after not defending it in nearly a year. In 2010, Lee would debut for Evolve at the promotion's first ever show where he won a 6-man tag team match. In Evolve, he would most notably wrestle Jon Moxley to a no contest before kicking a chair into his face, resulting in a suspension. Also in 2010, Brody would debut in Dragon Gate USA in May and Dragon Gate Japan in December. In the US, Lee would work with Jon Moxley, Mike Quackenbush, Rich Swann, and sumo legend Akibono, who he defeated in a singles match. Over in Japan, Lee would join the Warriors. The Warriors would quickly turn heel in 2011 and became the top villains in the promotion. He would work in both promotions until 2011. On March 12, 2012, John Huber signed a developmental contract with WWE. This came much to his surprise, as WWE had repeatedly denied him this opportunity in the past. But with WWE finally looking for a man of his size, plus the glowing recommendations of his indie friends Cesaro, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins, John landed the contract. It's also worth noting that John had worked in the WWE before as an extra, almost 20 times, but he was never given a proper shot prior to this. Huber would make his debut for Florida Championship Wrestling at a house show on May 18, 2012, now under the ring name of Luke Harper. Harper carried his dirty trucker/hillbilly look with him, as well as that magnificent beard. FCW was soon rebranded to NXT, and there he would be paired up with Bray Wyatt as the first member of the Wyatt family. Interestingly, he was introduced first as Bray's son, but that would eventually change to brother. Harper would form a tag team with his other brother, Eric Rowan, and the two would have some success. They nearly won the NXT Tag Team Championship tournament, defeating two other teams before losing in the finals to Adrian Neville and Oliver Gray. However, they would avenge this loss a few months later when they defeated Neville and Bo Dallas to win the NXT Tag Team Championships. They would defend these titles once before losing them back to Neville and his partner Corey Graves. In May of 2013, WWE began airing vignettes of the Wyatt family, and they eventually debuted in July and attacked Kane. I've already covered the Wyatt family's main roster run to the present day pretty in depth in my Bray Wyatt Origins video, so I'm just going to cover the Harper exclusive stuff here. In late 2014, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan were set free by Bray, allowing them to transition to singles competition. Harper would quickly join Team Authority, spearheaded by Triple H and Stephanie McMahon at Survivor Series. This also landed him a title shot against Dolph Ziggler, who he had attacked to get the spot. Luke would defeat Ziggler to win the Intercontinental Championship, his first title in WWE. Harper would defend his title against Dean Ambrose, but got himself disqualified. He would then face Ziggler in a ladder match at TLC, where he lost, ending his reign at just 27 days. After failing to capture it back in a crazy 7-man ladder match at WrestleMania 31, Harper feuded with Dean Ambrose, where he lost in a Chicago street fight. In mid-2015, Harper would once again align himself with Eric Rowan, but Rowan would suffer an injury. This led to Luke and Bray getting back together, and soon after their newest member Braun Strowman would debut. Jumping forward a bit, in March of 2016, Luke Harper would suffer a knee injury during a dark match. The injury was fairly serious and he was out for months, eventually returning to TV at No Mercy to help Bray Wyatt defeat Randy Orton. Randy, as you know, would join up with the Wyatts after that match, and he and Bray would soon become the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, also making Luke a champion under the Freebird rule. Most recently, Harper and Orton lost the tag team titles to American Alpha on SmackDown, and after the rematch, Luke accidentally superkicked Bray Wyatt after a confrontation with Randy. And that was Wrestling Origins Luke Harper. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one, so I hope you enjoyed it, despite the lack of information on him outside of the ring. If you have anything to add to the video, then let me know down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.